Zombie in his dressing room area here. Welcome to Rockville 2014. FanPass.tv. Rob,
hey,
so good to see you, bro.
Good to see you.
There have been many times where I've been in dressing rooms with you, with White Zombie, Rob Zombie.
Been a long time.
Yeah, I think about 20 years.
Probably.
One of the craziest stories I tell people still is when you did that MTV Invade Your Space and we were out there in the cold. Remember it was that house where they were doing Singled Out?
We were set up in front of somebody's garage or
yeah,
something?
Yeah, I think you did the backyard on the deck, remember? And it was so cold that I ran to Walmart to buy gloves and then cut the fingers so you could all play your instruments.
I remember sitting in a trailer freezing with Jenny McCarthy and Chris Hardwick.
Yeah,
we were getting ready to do Singled Out or something.
It was a crazy time. And I remember, I think me and Johnny Tempesta, your drummer, we went over to Walmart while we were there and we're like, let's buy some Kiss cassettes. And we just drove around and listened to Kiss for like the first 3 Kiss
I remember
albums.
we were all staying at a hotel that looked like the perfect porn set. Remember, it was all deep shag carpeting and heavy wood furniture.
It was, yeah.
It was amazing.
It was true. If you hadn't gotten into making great films, which were horror and suspense, then that would have been great place to do porn.
Just, yes.
You know what's funny? Speaking of that stuff, I'm watching the other day, my girlfriend, she had me watching a movie of Jesus Christ Superstar, and I'm looking at this guy going, oh, dude, turns out he went from singing in a musical, Jesus Christ Superstar, to being one of the biggest porn directors and porn stars of all time.
Who was it?
I don't know. Peter, he played Pete. Maybe he played
What did he play?
Peter.
He didn't play Jesus, did he?
No, he didn't play Jesus. He wasn't Jesus nor Pontius Pilate, but he was like he was Peter. But I'm like, dude, I recognize that guy in naked. No, not that I want to admit.
Perfect.
That. Yeah, perfect stuff. No, but anyway, get back to Rob. So, speaking of which, man, I mean, I love. Last time I saw you, we were out. I think hanging out. Was it the
We were backstage
Mayhem
at that New Jersey.
in the Mayhem Festival, which was incredible.
Was that the night Peter Criss was in our dressing room?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Which was so cool. And we hung up. Like I said, we've known each other for a long. But do you remember playing that gig? How cold it was. The one going back to Indiana, and like.
Yeah.
There were icicles.
It was
coming
ridiculous.
Out. It was like unbelievable. We were just like, this is crazy.
Kind of hard to function as opposed to today.
Yeah, and then
it's hard to function for a different reason.
Yeah, exactly. Then the next time we were hanging out together, I was your guy. I was like your point guy at the VMAs. Like the first VMAs.
Yeah, that was like '95,
which was incredible too.
So long ago, it was like Hootie and the Blowfish were playing, I think.
Yeah, and you guys too, and White Zombie. So we go back to it, but it's incredible stuff. Tell me about doing festivals. You've done and headlined some of the greatest festivals of all time. You played with your heroes like Alice Cooper, who I love too. What was your favorite festival experience? And do you remember the first festival you ever went to as a kid in Connecticut or in New York?
I don't think I never went to a festival until the first Lollapalooza. That was the first time I'd ever been to a festival. Yeah. And that was fun. I think and then the first one we ever really played, I think, was we played Castle Donington with Metallica. Yeah. Back in the, I don't know, early 90s.
Great time though, right?
It was a big show. It was like, I don't remember. It was like Slayer, Metallica, Skid Row, and us and stuff. It was like, it makes this festival look tiny. I mean, it's like 200,000 people. Yeah. It's like ridiculous.
And this is a great one here in Jacksonville. It's amazing.
They're all good. I like festivals. It's fun. It's like, well, every festival's the same people. We go, hey, there's Korn. Hey, it's Five Finger. We know everybody. It's always the same, same thing. So it's great.
But when you actually did that tour where you did it with Alice Cooper, you and I loved Alice Cooper growing up. We loved a lot of rock and roll. Of course. But what was that like? You and him really became great friends, though, didn't you?
Well, I've known Alice for about 20 years. Yeah. Like I say, it's always 20 years with everybody. But doing the tour with Alice was one of the best tours because usually you're on tour with people and they might be your friends, but maybe, they're just your buddies, but musically you're not compatible and it's not. But that was the first time I remember being on tour and it felt like what I thought touring should be. Like in your mind as a kid in the 70s, like this is what touring should be. And you're out there with Alice Cooper. But the best moment of that whole thing was one night we were playing and Alice was watching the show from the side of the stage. And the lights were dark enough on him that, he was just wearing his leather jacket, he didn't have a shirt on, he was drinking a Coke, which looked like a beer, and it looked like 20-year-old Alice Cooper watching us, and it was fucking weird, man.
Freaked you out, right?
Yeah, because even like with the guys in his band, we've done stuff. We did the Scream Awards once, and they showed like a tribute to Alice, or like in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I get so used to knowing the Alice as he is now that I forget that when I watch clips when he's really young, I'm like, fuck, that's the same guy. I forget sometimes, just because he's separated in your mind.
Yeah. Did you ever meet the rest of those guys in his original band, like Denny Dunaway?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, because
Denny's one of the coolest dudes
all those
ever.
Guys, Neil and,
Did you do
Michael.
some stuff with them when they
We did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame together, because I inducted Alice, and then we all played Schools Out, so I got to play with all the original guys.
Did you love playing with Denny? Because the way he plays bass, like, he's one of the killer bass players. Like, never gets the credit. I love him.
Yeah.
I've hung out with him and his wife. You know,
There's something about those guys because I got so used to hearing the songs by the new guys that Alice has, who are all great. But then when you hear the original guys, there's just something about the way they play. Because like Neil doesn't hit really hard; he's more shuffly on the drums, and the way Dennis plays it sounded just like
those records.
The records, you know,
like School's Up,
yeah,
Baby's Killer.
It was
Love
amazing.
It to Death. Those albums.
I mean, Love It to Death is still my favorite.
Yeah, that's mine too. Caught in a Dream, you just can't beat. Going a Long Way to Go, you go right straight down side one with Black Judy, and then side two.
Dwight Fry is such a killer song.
Yeah, but it's right.
I'm glad he still plays it.
I'm glad he does it as well. And then that cover of Sunrise is really
That's
cool.
great too.
You know, because you hear the original, you're like, really? Because Alice made this cool. This Rolf Harris song is not cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wasn't loving the cover, but it's cool. Hey, so are you working on that hockey movie we talked about last time?
Well, no, that's put on hold for a while because that became. I worked on that for about 2 years.
Okay.
And you know, the thing with movies, they just take forever. And with something like this, with it being a true story and all the rights involved and all the people involved, and the NHL involved and the Flyers involved, it just was such a clusterfuck of getting things done that I decided to do something else in the meantime because I just can't spend 5 years trying to get one movie done. I need to work. I can't. Yeah. I hate having meetings and I hate talking. I just want to do it. So I'll probably get back to it at some point. But right now I'm going to do something else.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was of all the experiences, all the movies with House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Reject, the remake of Halloween? What was your favorite movie? Best experience of the movies that you made?
The best experience was Devil's Rejects. The House of a Thousand Corpses was sort of, since it was my first movie, it was sort of a calamity just because everything's new. Devil's Rejects, I got my head in it. I knew what I wanted to do.
And a great soundtrack too.
Everything
Man.
From start to finish was the best experience. The two Halloween movies, working with Dimension and the Weinsteins, were really difficult because they're very, you know, they're incredibly successful, and I'm very happy to have been able to work with them. But they're very difficult to work with. And Lords of Salem was just difficult because there was no money. That was like one of those things, like, you know, low budget movie, shoot it in 20 days. So that was just hard for that. But Rejects was still searching for that experience that I may never have again. You know, I'm just happy to have it.
But it's a great movie, and the soundtrack too. Was it so much fun scoring it and thinking about the old songs that you loved and put on that record?
Yeah,
what
because it was amazing that I could get everything from Terry Reid to Skinner to whatever, Joe Walsh, and and everybody was cool about it. You know, the guys in Skinner. You would think that it would cost a fortune to use Freebird, but they're so cool. They cut me like a real sweet deal. Cause,
right now we're in a town where that song was written.
I know.
Where the guys are from, and they're still they're great people.
It's amazing.
They're incredible. But I love that.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It was really cool.
So you know, it was funny because I was thinking about it today, and how much I love Dragula. And when it came down to using the car and getting the car, what was that story for the video? Did you get the Munsters car?
Well, we got the Munsters coach because George Barris, you know, has his studio or shop out in Burbank, you know, built everything. The Munsters cars, the Monkey Mobile, the Flintstone car. He does it. You know, any custom
built
rods.
All that stuff is amazing.
Yeah, he did everything. And the actual Dragula, which is the coffin dragster, he didn't have because it was actually in China at the moment.
Because it tours, right?
It was on tour in China. So we used the Munsters coach instead, and you know, most people don't know the difference. So.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
But it was cool when it showed up because it was like, you know, we're on a sound stage like this, and the door is open, and it's a real hot rod. It's not fake. I mean, he builds real hot rods, and it came roaring in, and it was so loud, but it was like, everyone's like, oh my God, like it was like superstar walked in the room.
That's great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I love it. So when it comes, I'm gonna ask you, when it comes to touring and bringing the stuff, everything gets rolled in.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, before you go out on tour, do you like look at some of the stuff that you wear and you go like, all right, I'm taking this on this tour, you know? You think about it. Do you look for stuff even on the road that you can?
No, I can never find every. You know, I'll go. Yeah, I'm sick of this. This is brand new. Maybe that'll be good. This is too heavy, but I'll wear it anyway and sweat to death. I'm sick of it. You know, it's just whatever. I'll still be a last minute. Literally, it'll all be on stage, and I'll figure it out last minute.
Yeah.
Walk on stage and go, I really regret wearing this today.
Yeah, I know. But there's some great stuff. Look at it all. But I love your play. I love you. You make it your home because you're on the road and you got to.
It's our home for the next 5 hours, and then we leave.
Yeah. What's the next show you do after this one?
We go to Atlanta.
That's really cool. Yeah. That'll be great. How's Sherry doing? Great?
She's doing great.
Send my love to her, man.
Yeah, she's coming to Atlanta tomorrow. You just missed her by one.
I'm gonna miss her. Are you doing Rock on the Range? Is she going to come to you there? Or no?
We're not doing Rock on the Range this year, I don't think.
Well, maybe you want to come to L.A. and you're off the road. I'll call you. We should get together.
Yeah, well, we moved out of L.A.
Oh, no?
We don't live there anymore. We sold our house
now.
last month. Yeah, we still had the house in L.A. for, until just a couple months.
But you're living in Connecticut now.
Yeah,
right?
we bought a farm out in the middle of nowhere.
Dude, I live 2 states away. I should drive up one time and have dinner with you guys.
Come out and chase the turkeys around.
Hang around with you. It'd be fun. I'd love that, man. We haven't done it in a long time. It'd be great to see her too.
Just put on your mud boots and go through the slop.
I got no problem with that. We both grew up in that Northeast, and we've been having a lot of nasty winter, the worst ever.
Cabin fever winter for sure.
It's so bad. Just for your fans and stuff. I know we both love horror movies. What are like your fave original horror movies? Like, did you watch like Chiller Theater as a kid, like when it was on Channel 11 or Channel 9? Like,
we didn't have Chiller Theater. I mean, in Boston they had Creature Double Feature.
Yeah.
It was Chiller. Chiller was more like
New
they had
York.
New York with Zachary, I think,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
or something. We didn't have that. We couldn't get it, but yeah, I mean, that's why I love the movies. The first wave of movies was always the Universal films,
Yeah.
and then the Hammer films and a lot of
Yeah.
the Japanese stuff. You know.
Which of the first like Universal ones was The Haunting one of those? Were they, like,
Well, Haunting, I don't know what. I mean, that was like Robert Wise directed The Haunting. I don't know if that wasn't Universal though. That was a little later.
But did you like all that? Like what were some of the other early ones? Did you like the Edgar Allan Poe stuff? Vincent Price stuff?
I mean the Vincent Price stuff, all that Roger Corman stuff. They weren't on TV so much. It was because it seemed like back then the independent stations just had here's our package of films, and they just run them over and over. So they always had Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Dracula.
Yeah.
So that stuff. But then they'd always that's why I got so into Marx Brothers and everything else because these are just the films they had, and that's what they would run.
I love the Marx Brothers.
So I'd watch
stuff.
everything, you know.
Hey, I bought that Marx Brothers DVD like box set.
Those films are great.
I love that. Those guys were incredible.
You know, Animal Crackers and Horse Feathers. Those are the best films.
I love those films. It's great stuff. But Rob, it's so cool. So we gotta hang again soon, man. I love that you did this. I'm so excited to see you. And always
thanks
always
for
glad
having
to
me.
hang
Good to
out
see
with
you,
brother. So I'm gonna come visit you in Connecticut.
Okay, yeah.
But thanks so much for having us in your dressing room. Let us see what goes on back here. And
Apparently not much, huh?
Yeah, hey, just friends hanging out and talking.
Yeah.
It's very good. Rob Zombie, everybody. Fanpass.tv. I'm Matt Pinfield, and we are welcome to Rockville 2014.